Oh, this couch is very broken, which is really unfortunate because it's not that old. Anyway. Hi everyone, welcome back to my channel. I am Britt, and if you haven't subscribed yet, you probably should because I talk about geeky things. And if you guys don't know, I studied film criticism in college. So whenever I feel moved to review a movie, I do. This is gonna be another little breakup video from the start of the year cleaning. I'm actually about to finish filming the rest of them here after I finish this video. But last night, which actually this is going to be the Thursday after, so about a week ago, my mom and I watched a movie. We both were kind of excited about it. It's a made-for-TV movie. It aired on Freeform, but it was about two men falling in love, and I love that. I love that. So let's talk about Something About Harry. So Something About Harry is about this kid who was out and gay, or gay and out in high school. And he was bullied quite a bit. He was made fun of. And one of his #1 bullies, Harry, happens to go to the same school as him. And because of this, their friends from high school who are getting married, they're having an engagement party, ask for Sam to bring Harry to the party. This is right around Valentine's Day, and that's important for the rest of the movie. This must have come out around Valentine's Day in 2020. And the reason I was so excited about this is because my NaNoWriMo project this last year is a relatively similar kind of story. Mine is set up very, very differently. And my mom and I kind of talked about it after the movie was over about how my story makes things flow a lot better, but we're gonna get to how I feel about the movie in a minute. So they end up going to the party. However, the car ends up breaking down, and they end up having to spend, well, it doesn't really break down. Sam takes his eyes off of the road, and they end up in the ditch, which damages the car. But they have to spend the night in a hotel room. And I was kind of excited because I was thinking, okay, great, so they're gonna have like this really cool night, they're gonna hook up, and then they're gonna spend kind of the rest of the movie kind of wondering if they want to be together, right? That's what I was kind of expecting. And it's not what exactly happened. They did have a really great night together, but there was no hookup here. And then they end up getting to the party where it turns out that that Harry's girlfriend, now Harry is Pan, that Harry's ex-girlfriend showed up at the party, and they're getting back together. And that is literally the end of that part of the story. You don't get to experience the party, you don't get to experience them after having this really fun night, because then we jump forward to what is likely a year later. There were moments in the film, and maybe I missed it, but my mom also didn't see it, so I really think they missed in editing like a time jump forward, because they had done that throughout the course of the rest of the film, essentially, in the beginning of the film, which was like, you know, a couple days later and the next morning, and then they did like a year later, things like that, a few months later, things like that. And I may have missed it because it wasn't always like smack dab right in the front of the framing. It was like somewhere sometimes in the back, and I may have missed it, but I don't think so, because my mom didn't see it either. And we were both very confused because all of a sudden it was Valentine's Day again, and he was hanging out with his best friend again, and wasn't at the party anymore. And he meets up with this guy again at this Valentine's Day singles only party. And essentially this is how the film essentially goes. I'm not going to give away the whole premise of the movie, but essentially they keep running into each other. They decide to become friends, and only friends. And obviously towards the end they fall in love, right? So that's the basis story of the movie. Like I said, I don't want to give away some of the more surprising elements to the story. There were some that were really, really bad. I want to try and keep this review as spoiler free as possible, because if you're interested in watching it, it is available on Hulu if you haven't watched it. If you have Hulu with no ads, FYI, it's still gonna have ads. But it is available on Hulu if you guys are at all interested in watching this movie. And there were just moments that I feel like were forced and didn't make sense. The boy loses boy storyline, and also involved him and his best friend kind of breaking up in a way. So a lot of the storyline seemed really contrived, really weird, really predictable. But in other aspects, like, the forced stuff didn't seem as predictable, which was kind of nice. Like, there were a couple of real big surprises in the film, but they seemed forced. Like, they didn't seem genuine, and it was really frustrating, because here's the thing. The majority of LGBTQ movies that I have seen, I have not been impressed by at all. I know everybody loves that movie and book, Love, Simon. Super contrived, hated it, didn't like it. It was poorly done. I don't know if the book is better, but certainly the movie was atrocious. In my opinion, the movie was atrocious. I want an LGBTQ movie that gives me the vibes of like The Holiday or The Wedding Date, those kinds of movies that I have absolutely fallen in love with. The Proposal, these rom-coms that I have absolutely fallen in love with. And I feel like you just don't get good storytelling with LGBTQ movies right now, and it's really unfortunate, because I really think we need better storytelling where that's concerned, because the acting wasn't good. Again, I have to give a lot of leeway because it was a made-for-TV movie. It was Freeform, used to be known as ABC Family, right? That used to be what ABC Family was? I think so. Anyway, it was Freeform, which is, you know, obviously like a cable channel, so it's not necessarily high budget. Like, I understand, super low budget, probably. I could tell that the actors were all very green. The girl who plays the best friend, she was good. She's got a pretty good career ahead of her. I think she's gonna be really good eventually as she kind of hones her craft a bit more. But all the rest of the acting was okay. But that's just it. Like, you have some really great heteronormative rom-coms that exist out in the world with great acting, great premises, great story, great writing, great directing, like everything about it's fantastic. That just doesn't seem to be the case with these LGBTQ stories that are coming out. And that makes me very sad, because I feel like money needs to be put into these films so that we can have good stories, so that people who want to see themselves in romantic stories can. And I think that that's so incredibly important. And so the fact that it just didn't seem to have all of the boxes checked was unfortunate. Let's talk about the directing just a little. So a lot of times the directing usually kind of goes twofold with the writing and the acting, because obviously if the director can't pull out the actor's proper emotions, I felt like the directing was actually pretty good in most aspects. I feel like the casting was actually pretty good, aside from the acting being meh. The director was able to pull out a lot of really good emotion, which I thought was really great. And I feel like the casting was really on point, because the chemistry between the two best friends was really great. The chemistry between the two love interests was really great. The framing was really weird. There is this one part where they go to a drag bar, and it looked like the gay 90s here in Minneapolis, and I was here for it because I love the gay 90s. Anyway, but they went to this drag bar, and there was this really weird long shot of a drag queen singing, but like it was like this weird like downward framing, and they were looking into the camera just really awkwardly. And the song itself was really weird, because it was kind of started out slow to start the scene, and then it backed away, the camera backed away from the actor, the singer, just as the beat kind of dropped and it got a little bit more exciting to show the excitement of the bar, right? It was just a very long shot and it was really weird and awkward, and I sat there just kind of uncomfortable. Like, I was like, this is not a good framing choice. So the cinematography, not great. The directing in that regard, not good. And yes, I do look at those things because I was trained to look at those things. It was just not good. So yeah, the writing was okay. I felt like the beginning was really weirdly written. I feel like they were really trying to push the fact that these two are best friends, and it was really weird because I knew one was Pan, and so when they opened the movie with the two best friends cuddling in bed together, I was like, oh, so this is the Pan guy. No, it was the gay guy. He's just cuddling with his best friend in bed like they're about to have sex or had just had sex. It was a little weird, a little awkward. Dylan, come on, we'll cuddle in bed together. Anyway, I don't know, like, it just felt weird and awkward. The writing was not super conversational at first. I feel like the worst part of the writing was the weird time jumps. Like, nothing was executed well with the time jumps, because like there were things where I was like, okay, it's fine to do a time jump, and time jumps are good and they're valid and they can help move the story, because I hate stories where somebody falls in love. I mean, okay, I say this as I mentioned The Holiday and The Wedding Day as two of my favorite rom-coms, and both of those are about people falling in love within a week, right? Okay, I get that, but I genuinely, and I'm writing a story about people two couples falling in love over the course of weeks. So like, I get that they exist and I appreciate that. I personally do not love when that happens, because it's so hard, as from my experience, hard to get people to fall in love in a week. So I appreciate the fact that they were doing time jumps, because the course of the film was what, 1, 2, 3, 4 years. And then the final scene, they jump forward like another 3 years. So like, it is the course of quite a few years. Like, it actually takes place over a bunch of time, which I appreciate, and that's great. But in order to do that effectively, there were times where it just didn't make sense. Like, so there was this brunch that goes poorly, and then they jump forward like a year, and the main character is like, Sam, the main character, is like, oh, and then the way I acted at brunch. My friend, that was like a year and a half ago at that point. Like, like, okay, it's fine to remember that you did something stupid, but I remember doing something stupid at a dinner one time, and I wouldn't say that like, oh, when we went to dinner and I was such a stupid idiot. Like, no, I mean, like, I was a really stupid idiot, or I treated you poorly. Like, I remember like this weird little brunch thing that we did, and I said some stupid shit. Things like that. Like, the way that he said it was as if it happened like a day ago or a couple of days ago. And honestly, it wasn't good. So when you're writing time jumps, the one thing that you have to remember, whether it's a script or prose or poetry, I suppose, you have to remember like how long ago this is going to be, and the average human memory, and how that's going to be portrayed. Like, I can say I was like 16, 17, like right around there, unless I specifically remember what grade I was in high school, or what grade I was in school in general, or which, where I was living at the time, that kind of thing. Like, if I remember it happened in Bemidji, I know I was like 18, 19, because I moved to Bemidji when I was 18, left when I was 19, right? So that's Bemidji, Minnesota. Look it up. It's a tiny town in northern Minnesota. The time jumps were never executed well. Not a single time was there a time jump that was executed well. It was very poorly done. I will say, once the relationship officially starts, because that was another thing that was really weird, was there was like nothing at stake. They were never in a relationship until the very end. Like, it just, like, I guess it happens in The Holiday and in The Wedding Date, but like, The Holiday, I guess, I mean, I guess, but like I feel like there was more at stake in those. Like that's the thing. Like I just didn't care. I wasn't invested in this couple because there was nothing aside from friendship. Where in I guess those two movies with those three couples, you could feel heat between them, and there was no heat. Like the chemistry was fine. Like when they actually were in a relationship and fell in love, right? That part, the chemistry was great. The banter between the two was fantastic. But they were nothing more than friends, right? And so, I don't know, like I feel like the other movies that I've mentioned where, again, there was no relationship. I mean, Cameron Diaz and Jude Law's characters, they hook up at the beginning of the movie. So like that in itself gives it the stakes, right? Where like Kate Winslet and Jack Black's character in The Holiday, they don't get together until the actual end of the movie. He's actually in a relationship, but you can tell they're falling in love, and you can tell there's heat, you can tell there's flirting happening. Little things happen that make it clear that they're gonna fall in love, right? I didn't get that in this movie. I just didn't get it. Like, there was no heat, there was no friction, there was nothing that made me go, that's what I want those two together. I don't know, like it's unfortunate. And I really do think that it's, you know, this idea that Hollywood, and I do want to dive deep into the biases of Hollywood, because Hollywood is still very much, the stories in Hollywood are still told very much from a male gaze, and we're going to get into it. I have a whole video that I'm planning and working on right now, doing research and watching movies that are going to trigger me. It's fine. About fat phobia, I want to talk about, even though it's not my space, I do want to bring up LGBTQ issues within Hollywood, because again, everything's told from a male gaze at this point still in Hollywood, and it is changing. Women are getting more powerful places where it can be told from another perspective, but again, we're still very binary where that's concerned. Like it's unfortunate, but it is changing. And I do want to dive deep into the problems that exist within Hollywood where that's concerned, because Hollywood is obviously a place that I want to work one day. Whether I stay in Minnesota or move someplace else, I still want to make movies, and I obviously would have to dive into the world of Hollywood if I'm going to stay in the United States. So I do want to kind of do some deep dives into that. But this really very much is being told from a very heteronormative gaze, in that sense that stories about heterosexual couples get money, they get the funding, they get the good producers, they get the good directors, they get the good stories, and the stories about LGBTQ characters are still kind of these B-line stories where it's like these B stories where you're gonna get the not so great cast, the not so great directors, the not so great funding. And it's really unfortunate, and I think that this is something that drastically needs to change, which is why I decided to make this review, was because I wanted to shed light on the just inconsistencies of romantic comedies, where again, like the majority of what comes out in theaters is still very much heterosexual, which I get is like the majority, but that doesn't change the fact that LGBTQ people exist and they deserve love stories too. Just like fat people exist and we deserve our own love stories. And people of color deserve their love stories, right? So we still tell love stories from a very heteronormative, very white, very straight-sized point of view, unless you're a man. But again, we're going to talk about the fat phobia in Hollywood in another video coming up. I'm working on it. Hopefully film it next week. We'll see. But yeah, that's where I'm kind of at emotionally with all of it. It wasn't good, and I was so disappointed because I thought it sounded really great. The trailer made it look really great, and I was really excited to watch it, but it just didn't work. Like, we had to have a palate cleanser after that movie because it just wasn't good. So let me know in the comments below if you've seen Something About Harry. And if you liked it, because obviously it is valid for you to like it, it's valid for you to like any movie that I don't like. I'm just looking at it from a technical point of view as somebody who actually studied film, and just pointing out a lot of flaws within that technical aspect, but you obviously have the freedom to like whatever you want. Whether it's technically well done or not has nothing to do with your enjoyment of something, because art is subjective as far as what you like and what you don't like. I certainly like things I know a lot of other people don't, so I get that. So let me know if you've seen it and if you like it down in the comments below, or if you're interested in seeing it now that I've talked about and kind of destroyed it maybe a little bit. I don't know. Let me know in the comments below. And I'll see you all next time. If you guys want to see, I don't know, the last movie thing I did, which I don't even know what it was, click here. If you guys want to see my last video, go ahead and click right here. Click here to subscribe to my vlogging channel. Down here to my main channel. Vlogs are coming back. I am becoming more interested in vlogging again. I thought about it this morning, but I opted to not vlog today. So let me know if you want vlogs to come back. And I'm gonna go upstairs and finish making the rest of these darn cleaning videos, and I will see you all next time. Hit the bell for notifications on both of my channels so you don't miss a single one of my videos, and I'll see you all next time. Bye.